The crash echoed like thunder through the silent valley, a deafening clash of metal against stone that shattered the stillness. Smoke curled into the air as the battered ship groaned beneath its own weight. Then, with a creak and a hiss, its hatch blew open. Figures stumbled out, coughing and gasping for breath. Torque was the first to emerge, a towering grey-skinned brute with a voice like gravel. He hauled himself out of a jagged hole in the hull, arms stretching wide as he cracked his back with a grunt.
That was a rough landing. But hey, we made it in one piece.
He rumbled.
One piece? We could have landed safely if you watched the damn approach vectors!
Snapped a voice behind him. Gera, fiery-eyed and smoke-streaked, shoved past him, tugging at the scorched edges of his singed chest-piece. As Torque and Gera launched into a familiar volley of blame and shouting, the rest of the crew wordlessly slipped inside the ruined ship, dodging sparks and shrapnel. Lotus, calm despite the chaos, brushed dust from her cape and tightened the material on her eye patch.
At least the containers are intact. Took me weeks to collect those samples.
She muttered, inspecting a secure crate. Beside her, a much smaller cyan named Scallion fidgeted anxiously, orange eyes flickering with worry.
Lotus, the engine's fried. What if this planet doesn't have the materials to fix it? How are we supposed to get back?
Lotus gave the engine a grim look. Further ahead, another cyan. Castron, sharply focused and adorned with a series of mission badges, stood before a blinking console. Despite the crash, one screen still glowed, powered by the last sputtering battery. He scrolled through the data, reading the star charts and diagnostics with steely precision. Silence hung for a beat, then the hum of the console broke it. The ship's console shrieked suddenly, its synthetic voice crackling through the ship like a siren. Everyone inside winced as the sharp alert pierced their ears. With a few urgent taps, Castron activated the beacon, watching as a small antenna extended from the ship and pulsed with a faint blue light. A signal was sent. Hope launched into the stars. Weeks passed. The team scoured the planet, trudging through a sea of tangled flora and surreal wilderness. Giant spiraling trees clawed at the skies. Bushes bloomed with bioluminescent petals, humming softly in the breeze. The plains were easier, open and golden under twin suns, but any detour through the dense forests was like battling nature itself. Vines slithered like curious snakes. Trees shifted direction ever so slightly, as if watching. They slept under starlight, sometimes in silence, sometimes with Torque snoring loud enough to ward off local wildlife. The beacon pulsed on, unanswered. Then, one evening, just as exhaustion was beginning to chip away at hope, they found it. A city. It rose from the jungle like a dream, towers intertwined with colossal tree trunks, platforms grown from broad leaves hardened into walkways, glowing stalks casting gentle light like lanterns. The architecture was a blend of nature and design, as though the very planet wanted this place to exist. And its people? Humanoid, tall and serene, their skin in shades of blue and green, eyes glimmering like dew. They spoke sparingly, only when needed, their voices like hummingbirds' wings. Yet despite their silence, the city thrived, alive with quiet purpose. Energy hummed through the trees, lighting homes through vine cables that plugged into bark. Water flowed through root-like pipelines that seemed to have grown into place perfectly, organically. Not built, grown.
It's like the planet designed itself around them.
Lotus whispered in awe, gazing up at a vine-covered spire. Fortunately, this was where Castron shone. Fluent in over a dozen alien tongues and trained in xenolinguistics, he listened, observed, and spoke in mimicry. Within days, he cracked the patterns in their strange, flowing speech. With communication came progress.
They call themselves the Liffelin. They don't build, they cultivate. Their city, their homes, their tech, grown in harmony with the planet's will. It's not just advanced, it's symbiotic. This planet is called Ocrin.
Castron explained to the group around a glowing campfire made of heat-emitting moss. Time, like the vines of Ocrin, curled forward slowly and without apology. Communication with the Liffelin didn't come easy. Even with Castron's gift for language, the exchange of ideas was delicate, like trying to translate music into numbers. But eventually the team found their rhythm. Halting at first, then more fluent, until months later they were no longer outsiders, but guests the forest had learned to tolerate, even embrace. Each crew member settled into their own role within the growing harmony. Lotus, ever the seeker, buried herself in study. Her home, crafted from the coils of bark-woven architecture, it was filled with tools grown from minerals coaxed by the Liffelin, tables of leaf-bound scrolls and walls lined with hand-drawn diagrams of alien ecosystems. Every morning she trekked into the wilderness to collect samples, observing creatures that blinked like stars and plants that hummed when touched. The Liffelin had become guides and occasional collaborators. One in particular, a serene, azure-toned Liffelin who tended to a memory archive, fascinated her. Though his bookstore had no books, the air within it buzzed with silent history. When Lotus touched one of the crystalline containers, guided by his hand, the glass shimmered and bloomed with memory. Scenes of ancient rituals, war, peace, evolution, entire lifetimes playing in her palm. Still, not everything was easy. The Cyans struggled with basic survival. Fruit that nourished the Liffelin sometimes turned toxic in Cyan bodies. Gera nearly lost a week to one miscalculated bite. It took months of testing, with Lotus leading trials and mapping metabolic reactions before they could isolate safe food. Only then did the Liffelin coax plants into growing compatible produce, responding as if the planet itself listened. Yet even with peace and discovery, the team never stopped watching the stars. They yearned to return home. The ship was a slow resurrection. Parts were missing, metals were scarce. The Liffelin could not comprehend wiring and circuitry. They lived in a web of living current, an ecosystem that pulsed with power like a heartbeat. Their electricity grew. There were no batteries, no switches, just connection. So the team split. Lotus took to the skies, and what she found was breathtaking. To the north, volcanoes roared with fire and life. Here lived the Faisal, fiery beings with golden-orange skin who crafted their homes from molten rock and sculpted towers of glass from sunlit sand. Their cities shimmered in the heat, alive with brilliance and sound. It was among them that Tor found a substitute metal strong enough to withstand re-entry, mined from volcanic seams and alloyed in glowing forges. To the far south, an abyssal forest cloaked in shadow. The light there barely touched the ground. Beneath moss and root systems, bioluminescent creatures drifted like spirits. The Nanari, an enigmatic race with skin like night skies and starlit freckles, lived in silence. They never spoke, but their presence communicated more than words. Through gesture, through glow, through emotion. It was there that they found rich, rare crystals that would aid them in soldering the ship back together. Lotus documented it all. Species, environments, behaviors, and her notebooks became a bridge between worlds. Then, finally, the ship was ready. They'd done the impossible, salvaged a miracle from roots and fire and silence. Reluctantly, painfully, they packed up. The Liffelin offered parting gifts, crystals of memory, woven cloaks from vines, seeds that would never stop growing. Lotus clutched her journals like lifelines, but some things couldn't be carried. When they rose from Ocrin's soil, the city below shimmered in sunlight, quietly watching them go. The stars stretched once more into light-speed trails. The journey home was long, quiet, anxious, and then silence. The crew stared at the view screen, the cockpit bathed in eerie stillness. There was nothing. No orbit, no rubble, not a flicker of moonlight or whisper of dust. Their world, families, history, everything had vanished, erased, not destroyed, gone. The ship drifted in stunned stillness. No one spoke. They didn't need to. Each felt the same hollow bloom inside their chest. And as one, they turned the ship around. Castron set coordinates. Torque pushed the throttle. The stars bent once more as they slipped away from what no longer was, back toward the only place that had offered them refuge. Back to Ocrin, the wild, strange, living world that had accepted them when nothing else did. The place they now call home.